Hey everybody, welcome to the Purpose People podcast. Today I have got John Conway from Paralign, all the way from Denver, Colorado.
Trains, planes, and more trains, but I'm here.
Thank you so much for making the effort. I know you didn't fly out specifically for the podcast, but we definitely synced our timetable to get you on.
Absolutely.
Watched the American football. How was it?
It was good. We try to make a trip every year with our friends that are Pittsburgh Steelers fans. So the Steelers were playing the Vikings and in Dublin. So we made the trip with them. And
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. It was interesting I'm always thinking about parking, of course.
Yes, of course.
30 plus years, and seeing a stadium of 75 people, Croke Park, 75,000 people, and there were no parking lots.
Yeah, old stadiums, right in the middle of housing
no
estates.
tailgating, and so it was kind of cool to watch that many people without driving to a venue like that.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting.
Yeah, because what you'll find is in the UK, a lot of the stadiums are like 100 years old. So they were built, and then the housing estate was built and around them.
Right.
And so, some try and retain and stay there as long as possible. So Liverpool, my soccer team, they're still there. And all the houses that surround have all been redeveloped and stuff. But other clubs have literally just moved to a more purpose-built building, and they got the car park and everything around there. So it's quite kind of like you've got these beautiful stadiums that are 100 years plus. Do you chuck them in for a brand new one and lose the heritage? And that's the wrestle. Was it Croke Park? The
Croke
game?
Park,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, several years back, I think the NFL, you would have a game in London or somewhere in Europe, and it was like one time, but now it seems to be more frequent. So I think, obviously, I think that's the NFL's effort, trying to spread to Europe. And interestingly enough, on the train here, I saw American football practice. Few train stops down.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's a growing sport. I mean, I remember the World League that started, and we had the London Monarchs, and that they tried to get it going. It lasted about 5 years, and then kind of petered out. But like Tottenham Hotspur, which is a stadium in London, their stadium is built for both football and NFL. So literally, they got 2 sets of changing rooms. The whole football pitch reverses back, and out comes the NFL pitch.
Oh, interesting.
So the stadium cost $1 billion to make, but it is built for NFL and soccer. So they've literally got the big NFL changing rooms, which are obviously a lot bigger than soccer changing rooms because of the amount of size of the team. But yeah, it's literally 2 different entrances. So we're doing it more and more. So I think this is here to stay, this international.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they want to expand and have teams over here. I mean, I don't know if that's, I don't know. I'm not an insider, so I don't know what their mission is, but it seems like they're trying to spread.
But then they could say, then if someone wins it, they're world champions then, officially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they've got some other countries involved. So, John, you're obviously involved in parking. I'm sure, you've been in there for 40 plus years. So
parking.
How did you make that decision? Did you fall into it? Was it you were interested in being entrepreneurial, and this was the thing that opened? How did you get there?
I don't think anybody sets out in life to be in parking, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think most of us kind of stumble in parking. Honestly, I think it started for me, not necessarily parking, but the itch to kind of be entrepreneurial in second grade.
Yeah.
When most of my friends were in the advanced class when I was in elementary school. And somehow the salesman in me was alive in second grade because I convinced the principal, to move me into the accelerated class. And so without my parents' knowledge, without anybody's knowledge. So
right, okay.
I got to get into class with the accelerated class. And of course, at the end of the year, I was told that I had to repeat second grade because I fell behind. So that was news to my parents at the time, and they were like, how did this happen? They were kind of frustrated with the school, like, how did we not know about this? But I typically took myself out and put myself into a different class in second grade. So I've always had that itch, went to college and then didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think law enforcement was kind of my thing. So I went into the U.S. Coast Guard at the time,
Right.
and then became what's called a leadette team. So we did boardings down in the Caribbean. It was mainly the primary mission of the Coast Guard is always search and rescue.
Yeah.
But there was a law enforcement side as well. And so I was on what was called a leadette team where we deployed off of U.S. Navy ships,
Right.
and mainly in the Caribbean looking for drugs.
Yeah.
Being trafficked to the U.S. So interestingly enough, the British had a presence in Belize while we were down there. So
Right.
I was part of the first American leadette team to actually board off of an HMS. It was the HMS Cumberland.
What was the difference between the Brits and the US? Is there a big difference?
It was huge. Yeah, there was a huge difference. The Americans have all these rules and engagement and all of that. And so when we were aboard that British ship for about 2.5, 3 weeks, we would typically go as observers in the helicopters as well.
Yeah.
And this is when I realized things were different. So the idea of the helicopter, we'd fly 200 or 300 miles away from the ship. They'd identify contacts. We'd get the hull numbers and then come back and run all the information and then make a decision whether we were going to board that ship. And I was on a Lynx helicopter coming back to the ship, and the Americans have like an approach, and they'll take it steady and you're down. This guy flew right up over the flight deck and then boom, put it down on the deck. I was like, wow, I'm never riding in this helicopter again. They were just, it was actually great. I mean, they had just a lot more focus than, they were excited to be a part of this. It was the first time that they were a part of it. So it was a great experience.
So how long did you stay there for?
The breakfast was the first breakfast that I had.
With beans?
I was like, is this lunch?
Because you guys don't eat beans, do you?
No.
Baked beans?
No, and they had like hot dog. I mean, it was like literally, I thought it was lunch. So that took a little getting used to, but for the most part, it was a great experience.
So how long did you do that for before you then sort of like
I was in
out?
about 3.5 years, and
Okay.
then we had a transition of government, a new president, and I think the priorities changed, and so they cut back the leadette program.
Right.
So I got out early, like a half year early, and went back to New York, my hometown, where I became a deputy sheriff.
Okay.
For about 2 weeks. And realized that wasn't for me. So I went to Colorado and sold cars for a couple weeks, and then stumbled.
That's a big shift, though, to go from New York to Colorado.
Yeah, well, that's where I went to college.
Ah, right, got
Yeah.
you. So you gone back to sort of,
Yeah,
got
so and I was a skier, so I went back to
you.
Colorado.
So am I, John. I'm a skier.
Yeah. I know, I've heard. And then, stumbled upon an ad. I was looking for, selling cars wasn't really for me, but the salesman in me, it was something to do. But I always had an itch to do something and build something. And so I saw this ad about parking a manager, and I had no idea. I'm from a rural part of New York, so paid parking wasn't really a prevalent thing where I was from. And so I started working for a company called System Parking. And then here I am 31 years later, still in parking. So
from that work, were you working for someone then? And then obviously there was a decision eventually where you thought, you know what, I'm going to do this myself.
I was, and it was a defining moment for me. I had a boss at the time that I highly respected, named Steve Long, and he had been in the business a lot of years, and there was a transition at the top of leadership.
Yeah.
And the new leadership that took over, I think, didn't appreciate Steve Long, and so I got to see politics at its best. And Steve Long was cut loose, and that's when it was one of those moments where he didn't know it was coming. So that kind of gave me kind of an insight to corporate America.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to be that person after 30 years. So I decided, 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So I started a business, PRS, with an attorney friend of mine. And him and his wife kind of ran it for years, day to day. And I continued to work in corporate America, and always wanted to, as I saw the company building, always wanted to get there, but it was a hard journey to actually break away. Every time I thought about it or wanted to make a decision, I was either promoted, handed a different package.
Right, yeah.
And so it became very difficult because it was a small company that certainly couldn't afford my salary at the time.
Yeah.
So I think 10 years into the company, finally made that, or made the decision. Of course, I had a family at the time, so convincing the wife that you're leaving this big, secure organization with a secure paycheck to you're going where? No, you're not. So that was so it took a lot of courage, but I knew in my heart that it was the thing. I knew once I got over there, I could build something even more. And it worked out.
So obviously you like really good in terms of sales and stuff, but then obviously that's on you performing, cutting deals and that, and then all of a sudden now you're running a company, so to speak. How did you make that transition? Were you still at heart still a salesman, or did you enjoy building the team and the organization?
So when I came over, I've always liked building teams and working with people, but I'm a salesperson. So when I came over, my partner at the time, was a lawyer by trade, had a different mindset, a different brain set. And so we kind of agreed I would build the business development part of the business, and him and his wife would continue to run kind of the operational side. And so he always knew, I always knew, but I think he knew more. He had always tried to continue to, you need to come over, you need to come over. And then when I finally did the curve, it didn't take long when you're in the business as long as I've been in, and you have the relationships you have. Like any business, it's about relationships, and people 100%. Want to do business with people that they trust and know. So the growth curve was crazy, and so scaling and growing like we were was definitely a challenge, given my business partner at the time, he's probably 20 years older than me. So the mindset was very difficult. We knew we were going to grow, but we didn't know we were going to grow like that. And so, it posed a lot of challenges, but we succeeded. And now it's, at a different level, of course, I think. Yeah,
because for me, it's like you obviously, PRS is the company. It was about enforcement and stuff like that. So where did the idea come to get involved in tech and making that transition to what we know as Paralign? How did that transition happen?
So I've always been kind of the visionary of the company. And so when I got in and started seeing, obviously selling, scaling became a real issue. So I started looking at our processes and saying, look, why are we doing this way? There was a lot of manual process. And so I started throwing things out like, let's automate the monthly reports. Let's have it so people can pull their own reports online.
Yeah.
And my business partner and his wife were like, we can't, what are you talking about? So we started making, because I realized at that moment we had to make changes if we were going to continue to scale like we wanted to. And so slowly but surely changing his mindset. And I got to hand it to them. I mean, they could have been terrible partners and, stayed the course that they want to do, but they had faith. And when I started showing them kind of the path to go down, they were ultra willing to do that. And so that was the key to scaling. So when we started automating and some of the internal processes and cleaning up and making it more efficient, we were able to scale even further faster. So
Yeah.
I think at some point the vision kind of changed. I started realizing, look, putting people out on the streets with all this technology that's in the world today, we need to start looking at an alternative. So it was really just before COVID, and then COVID accelerated it because payroll was our highest line item expense, of course. And so started looking at some automation with fixed cameras, obviously, like we have now.
Yeah.
And really started diving into that a couple years before COVID. And then when COVID hit, and obviously the parking industry collapsed literally overnight. So during COVID, that time period is when I really started focusing on I need to come up with a solution, because when we come out of COVID,
You want to be a different...
I want to be a different company.
Yeah.
And so kind of looked at a lot of different technologies, and then got hooked up with Azura out of Hungary.
Yeah.
And quickly realized that what they were doing was unique.
Yeah.
Using AI. And I know that AI is a buzzword, but truly they have something unique even to this day, with the capture rate, with the angles. And so we started deploying, we came up with a term sheet and an agreement to kind of work together. And once we started deploying some of that technology, it became completely obvious, like this can eliminate that labor line item.
Yeah.
And will allow us to continue to scale. And matter of fact, it'll allow us the flexibility to go into markets where we may not have 10 or 15 other lots. I can now put a flag in a market with one lot and not have to worry about the labor.
It's funny, since obviously I've been involved in the journey, like I look at parking very differently now. So we live in an out of town area, and they've just turned a free car park into a paid car park, or parking lot, as you guys say. And I look at it there, go, well, and they got guys walking around like constantly, and I'm like, well, they just need to put a couple of poles up, a couple of cameras or whatever else, and it's up and running. And I would say Europe's miles behind, in terms of that. So like what you're talking about in terms of bringing that automation and stuff like that. Yes, they've got cameras at the airport. If you
Right.
drive to Heathrow, there's cameras everywhere. But, the UK, outside of the cities, we've got loads of car parks that they've only just started to turn into paid. And just monitoring that are just people walking around,
Right.
And so they're almost like maybe 5-10 years behind, So there's the opportunity in the European space to begin to bring some of that tech in, because I'm looking at it and going, if they had a couple of things, cameras up, and you could just drive in and drive out, it's easy then, isn't it? Whereas at the moment, I think it's like people are parking in, they don't know which bay to park into, and then they're like on them and fill in their ticket and get it on.
I mean, it's interesting. Europe has always kind of been ahead of the parking industry in the U.S. With relationship to technology. I mean, I can remember just about 10 years ago when, people are still, they had what was called a meter box.
Yeah.
And it was kind of an honor system, right? And I'm not talking about a car park with a garage. I'm talking, which has a gated system. And,
Yeah.
but I mean, just as recently as 10 years ago, people were, on a surface lot, were stuffing money in a meter that was labeled. Each space was labeled a number, and they were stuffing. It was basically an honor system because people didn't have the resources to check the lot 24/7. They didn't have the resource, so at best they might check it 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And so people got used to, that's what it was. And I think COVID really accelerated, and it started happening before, but COVID has really accelerated technology in parking in the U.S.
Yeah.
You started seeing it with aggregators like Spot Hero before, coming out with, the concept of, you can buy your parking on your phone, download our app. But now it's with the camera technology. Now it's accelerated even further. And that leads me, that's kind of the vision of Paralign, is because I think the way the technology is going to roll is it's going to be kind of that still in-car experience. And so you're with the camera technology and the ability to interact with the vehicle.
Yeah.
And so somebody can just, in their vehicle, pay for parking, and then when you show up, the camera recognizes start. We call it auto start and stop right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna evolve even more to the point where, we talk about frictionless. It's gonna be effortless, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You could probably have an app in your car that says, "I'm going over here. I'm just gonna hit this button. I'm gonna pay for. I want to go here. Pay for parking." Then you just show up. The camera says, "Yep, they're here." And it starts your time, and when you leave, you don't have to do anything. And that's really what it should be. Parking is the best parking experience is the one never remembered, because that's not what you're. That's not your destination.
But like, for instance, that technology that my marketing brain then kicks in, and I'm like going, well, you could just have flat rate subscriptions for parking that basis, and so you're paying £15 a month, and you don't even have to think about it. It just takes your sessions.
That's
off,
right.
And that person's that business is getting the money at the start of the month, each month. And if they do over that, then they might take a little bit more. But people are like, they would pay for their electricity. They've got a parking budget.
Exactly.
And it's being set up there. So, I get it. What we're seeing in the UK is we're seeing a lot of footfall in towns has diminished, and so a lot of councils are struggling, and so the parking now, the way they're making money is to charge for parking to fix that, almost finding a bit of a balance. And now they got less people coming through, but if everyone's paying parking, they're still getting an income. So it's an interesting dynamic shift.
I mean, it's an interesting. Well, there's also an interesting shift that's going on within our company. I mean, most people would, if you mentioned PRS and now Paralign, most people would associate me with, enforcement, and that's how they make their money. When really the vision now is, I don't want to write notices. I want to drive compliance up through the technology, right? And so that's really the vision of the company at this point, is not to penal people with these fines. You're always going to have that, but the more you can reduce it, the better experience it is for people.
And that's it. And I think that's the thing. I mean, it's not necessarily paying for parking. People will pay for it, but it's that you're getting a parking notice. It's 60, like in the UK, it's immediately 60 quid, and if it's not paid within a certain amount of day, that can jump up. So it's like it's a hefty whack once you miss it. And I think we're getting used to that. The technology, we're still tickets. A lot of places are still the ticket thing.
Right.
We've got apps, but now you go in and there's so many apps.
I think apps are going to disappear. I think it's
Yeah, I agree.
somehow. I think the mobile payment providers are going to evolve themselves into the car.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's just too many. I turn up now and it's like, well, which one is it? And I've got 15 apps, and I'm
Right.
like, it's got the destination code, but each provider doesn't. They're not shared. They're all individual providers. So in the UK, we've got Ringo, Pay by Phone, I think My
Park
Permit.
Mobile, which I think has arrived.
Yeah, so there's quite a few of them, and it's like I do a lot of traveling, and no matter which city I go to, I'm downloading another app,
Right.
and I'm downloading it, put my card details in, and sometimes some of them, even on the setup, you still have to phone them. It's just
I think that's what you're going to see kind of disappear.
Yeah, agreed.
In the near future, in my opinion. So,
yeah,
but it's, some people would raise eyebrows right now, but I think the two, when I say we want to write less tickets, and, I can say that with 100% certainty because it's another pivotal moment in our company's history, right?
Yeah.
And I think the two challenges right now in the U.S. is the technology has evolved so much. There's two things going on. Because the evolution of technology so quickly and so fast, I think there's a pioneer period here where the public is realizing, wow, I used to pull in here at 3:00 every day, and I'd run in for 10 minutes, and I came out, and nothing happened to me, right?
Yeah.
And so that doesn't happen anymore with technology. If I run in there for 15 minutes and come out 3 days, 2 days later, I'm going to get a letter in the mail for $100.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got that going on, and then you've got the regulation side, the governmental side,
Yeah.
where they're also, they're miles behind. Right.
Yeah.
And so some of those ordinances and some of those things in different cities across North America were written 30 years ago. They're outdated.
Yeah.
They don't apply. And so there's two evolutions between training the public that, wow, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And the industry trying to make it as easy as possible for them, because sometimes people, like you said, are frustrated. And then at the same time, training the regulators to say, look, technology's here, it's evolving, and it's going to benefit not only you, but your constituents, make it easy for both business and the public. Right?
Yeah, and I think that the big shift for me is that aspect of you've gone from a let's catch you out mentality, like everyone feels like they're being caught out,
Right.
to a empowerment. Just get parked quickly, go and do your thing, and as you said, if $5 comes off your phone or whatever for the parking, you're not even thinking about it. And as you said, the bad parking session is where people remember it.
Right.
I got a ticket on the thing.
If somebody's remembering their parking experience,
Yeah.
it generally means it wasn't a good one.
Exactly.
Which isn't good for the business that you either were going, your destination, whether it be a sporting event or a restaurant or a show, whatever it is. If you've remembered parking, then...
So tell us a little bit about Paralign itself, in terms of, let's say a company takes Paralign on as a tool. What are the benefits to them? Where you could what are the fundamental shifts for them as an organization, as a business? You talked about the bottom line in terms of the, how do you put it? The people, the manual walking around and stuff like that. What other benefits come as a result of having Paralign as a technology to the company, not the end user? We've talked about that.
So the idea with Paralign is the technology being able to offer. Paralign's kind of a widget.
Yeah.
And it's a widget that helps other businesses become more efficient,
Yeah.
right, and be innovative. So the idea with Paralign was, in our industry in North America, PRS has been delivering Paralign technology for a while in its
Yeah.
operations, and people viewed, as we started evolving, it became obvious. If I've got a contract that I'm bidding on or I'm looking at to do traffic monitoring or just provide data on your parking lot, not compliance associated with it at all. People would say, "Oh, well, you're PRS. You're the big bad wolf that gives everybody tickets." And it became obvious that that's not what Paralign's about. Yes, Paralign enables PRS to kind of be efficient. Not have as many boots on the ground and be able to do compliance, because there's a lot of behind the scenes that goes into compliance, not just the in the field kind of observations that Paralign gives them. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes if you identify somebody non-compliant. So the idea with Paralign is, look, you may not want anything to do with compliance, but you want the technology, right? So an example of that would be a multifamily customer that we have that develops properties across North America is using Paralign technology to gauge occupancy and usage of their facilities, because they feel like over the years they built a 10-story car park where they think they might have only needed 5-story, right? And so that data becomes powerful. They can now look at that and then make decisions on future development and say, look, I can save this development company hundreds of millions of dollars because I'm not going to build a 10-story. I'm going to build a 5-story based on our current portfolio.
One of the other stories, because we were lucky enough to go out there and we filmed some of the Paralign stuff, but it was one of the other stories was that even it was they were paying like people to empty the rubbish a certain amount of money.
That's right.
And the tech basically tracked the fact that whatever they were paying for, they weren't getting as a service.
So that was a retail location that had trouble. It was near a light rail station, which is a train station. And a lot of the people were parking in the retail center, getting on the train and then going downtown. So, if you work down there and it's a $350 monthly parking, and you can park at this retail, drive to this retail center and park for free. It's a good gig. I'm going to save myself $300 a month. And so their challenge was, retail is competition. They have to provide a good center for their tenants. Their tenants need to provide parking for their customers. And so it became a real challenge for them to keep that parking lot empty. So they deployed Paralign technology, which then used PRS for the compliance. And, 30-40% of that occupancy during the day was people that were working downtown. And so they don't have that anymore. But as you brought up, one of the benefits was they had security patrols, intermittent security patrols throughout the night. And they also had trash service, which would come once a week. So they found out that the security patrol would probably 3 times a week never even pull into their to their center. And they figured out that their trash collector would miss a couple times a month. So all this became a tool for the property manager to kind of manage other things outside. And kind of that's Paralign's vision goes beyond parking for sure. Right now we're traversing into the multifamily space and helping those people with their issues related to parking. We've been in retail, starting to get into the trucking space, which truck parking is an issue and a hot button in the United States right now. So getting into that space, but we've also looked at we also do traffic monitoring. Obviously Azura does tolling in Europe, so. Really, that's what the technology was built around, was tolling. Right.
So you, at some point, at the moment you've got essentially a new product to an existing audience, but ultimately you're going to be taking a new product to a different audience, I think, in terms of marketing and the journey.
We've had conversations with some major retailers regarding in the oil change space, kind of administering customer loyalty programs. So in other words, somebody pulls up, our cameras can identify them right away. And then obviously, how you're going to treat that person.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing it on the screen before that person pulls up. You already know that Daryl comes here all the time. We love Daryl. He's a loyal customer.
Yeah.
So it helps from a customer service standpoint. But then the other benefit is each of those oil change bays is a money producer, right? And so somewhere in the economic chain and the leadership change, those bays are benchmarked for a certain amount of oil changes a month, right?
Okay.
And so if I've got 3 lanes going, for 30 days or, however long I'm open, and I've got one bay that's making half of what the other 2 bays are, then I've got a training issue.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Why is that person taking longer? Who is this person? What are the times? Why isn't this bay making as much as the other bay?
Got you.
So efficiencies, and that's not just in that market. We've also been approached, with campsites, monitoring camping sites that are in rural areas,
nice.
where labor can be reduced. The ski industry has many challenges with occupancy. So Paralign, the evolution of Paralign is going to be way outside of parking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we're at now.
Yeah,
The big picture is beyond. The technology is that good.
So you as an entrepreneur, let's go back to that. So is that constant quest for what's coming up and the anticipation of where things are headed, that's what kept you in this industry so long? Because, we don't hear nowadays people staying in an industry as long as you have, that 40 odd years is a long time in business. And for me, it's what keeps you waking up each morning going, hey, I'm going to.
I don't think it's just the parking industry. I think there's certain spirit in certain people. Obviously, once you get into parking, you don't get out. Me personally, I call it executivitis. I've never been a guy that sits at a desk all day, and and parking's always been great for me because you literally could go from cleaning up a stairwell in a parking garage to in the mayor's office talking about a development that involves parking and what's your opinion. I've been on several boards and commissions along my career, and it's just fun. You come in every day and there's always something new, there's always something. But it also gets back to the spirit. If I was in the janitorial business or the security business, I don't think it would be any different. I get up every day. I want to build something. I want to continue to build. And I want to continue to evolve. And so I think I discussed this a couple weeks ago with somebody on a podcast. But for me, it really is... right now, as much as we've evolved, if you look at PRS and the pivot point that we made a couple years back with automation, right?
Yeah.
If we didn't make that decision, where would we be today or in the next 5 years? I mean, we'd be that company that everybody goes, oh yeah, they got the boots on the ground, but look at these guys over here. They got cameras and you have to continue to evolve and pivot in your company, or you're going to wind up like a Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I don't want to be a Blockbuster or a Kmart. So honestly, it never ends. Right now, I'm thinking about what'll be that next pivotal moment where our company has to evolve to survive and change and pivot in order to survive. And to me, that's why I get up every day, because it's fun.
I mean, the other thing that you we touched on, having flown out there and spent some time with you, the thing that you did, or not everybody does, is that you brought in a CEO to run the business, so to speak. So you're a bit more free. That's a bit of an interesting journey.
Yeah, it's a good.
Because we enjoyed your conversations in the car.
Yeah, when we finally, when Azura and PRS officially partnered, and Azura became 51%. So essentially, my partner and I sold half the company.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to be the CEO, right? So my business partner was older at the time, and certainly so on all the paperwork, it was me. I was going to lead founder and CEO, right?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. So what happened was we were, 3 days of meetings in Budapest, and I struggled with it for a while, but I knew the right thing was I'm not that guy.
That's quite brave, to make that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a visionary, and I'm a unique animal. I love sales, but the company really needed process.
Yeah.
And I break process. I don't build them. And so
I'm surprised at that.
So I thought, the right thing for not only my new partners, but moving forward to go where I wanted to go, is we needed somebody else. And I had already had somebody in mind.
Right, okay.
And so that was another pivotal moment, I guess you could say.
Yeah. That's a big shift, because it feels, like you're relinquishing the control and the title and what's expected. So it's quite a break. Not everybody does that. Do you know what I mean?
I viewed it as I still, like, this was my baby, and I want to see the baby grow up, and the baby would be better served, with somebody else, really kind of doing that. But, I love my role with the company, because I'm still, I still get to be involved in the decisions. Of course, I'm on the board.
Yeah.
And I get to kind of be a visionary, and kind of in that aspect, and I get to sell. Right. So, and it's an easy product to sell.
Yeah.
And Mike Drow gets to build the process that I try to break. And
you're just testing it, right? To make sure it's robust. Right. That's all you're doing.
It's a perfect marriage, right?
Yeah.
So haven't regretted any of that. I think a lot of times in life, no matter what you're doing, sometimes if you let your ego rule you, sometimes it's it could be to your detriment.
Yeah,
right?
I think that for me, I can remember we went through the journey of, we had an office in Bristol. It was a lovely office, looked like an Apple store. It was all white and whatever. And the pandemic happened, and then it was like everyone go back to work. And this country's a little bit different from the States. And the team were like, well, we're building websites, we're doing this sort of stuff. Obviously, when we're filming, we go out on set. But the team weren't utilising the offices. And what had happened is pre-pandemic, we all lived like 10, 15 minutes from the office. Post-pandemic, some of us are living as far as an hour away now from this office. And it was the other side of Bristol. So Bristol's 8th most congested city in Europe. So you haven't
figured that out today. Yeah. I'm going to Bristol, and I'm getting the train, and then I got another 20 minutes. I'm still in Bristol, but I'm outside of Bristol. But
so basically, what happened is the general consensus was, well, do we really need the office? And we were getting people coming in, and it was full always, and then it wasn't so full, and that was exactly that. I wouldn't let go of the office because my ego was like, well, I'm not a proper business if I've not got a big building. And I had to take some time, and I thought, is the business performing? Is it growing? Are people getting their work done? Are people happy? Answers are all yes. So why am I paying for it? And it ultimately became a storage unit for all our kit eventually. Got this beautiful desk, got monitors everywhere, whatever, and no one's using it. And then, can I just take their monitor home? And they're taking it home, and they're setting up their home office or whatever. And then I let it go. And I think the dawning for me was, why am I keeping it? And it was just an ego thing. And I had to say, you know what? I've kept this office 6 months, 2 more, just because of my ego.
Right.
And I went, ooh, I thought I got rid of that. Do you know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, guys, we're going to do it. It was like, Great. Well, we're happy. And,
Yeah.
we've been running, 2.5 years remote.
And
as a
guess
team.
what? We're still growing.
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
So-
And it still works. So I'm not saying it's right for everyone. And I think some of the teams still like the camaraderie or whatever. But, like with the filming guys, we're out together anyway. Or with the podcast guys, people come over and we do meet and that. So we don't never see each other. But it's worked. And I think it's just that the ability from, like you said, as a founder to then move your ego aside and take a CEO in, it's a big, brave step. Who knows, at some point that might be my thing where I literally have to say goodbye and I'm going to go and do podcasts full time and rival John's podcast series.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, again, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you know where you want to bring your company, and your company's bigger than you are, everybody has a ceiling of where they can take you, and I think you have to soul search and realize where your value is.
Yeah.
And obviously, my new partners, and certainly Mike Dro, all our goals are the same, right?
Yeah.
And so we all want to get to the same place. We want to continue to scale the business, and it's better served in the role that I'm in now, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy decision. Not everybody can make that, but it was the right one. So.
And that's it. It's like, for me, it's like, I think maybe the equivalence is like you see it in sport where the manager of a particular team says, you know what, I've run this as far as I can, and they hand over. But I think it's having that self-awareness to make that decision and say, you know what, I've got to do what's best for the vehicle that we created rather than what's best for me.
Right.
But in essence, it becomes the best for you because
that's right.
Someone that's more equipped to do it.
And I think once people get past, the initial fear and ego of it, like, oh my God, I'm not going to be in charge, and I think you quickly realize, wow, I'm still going to go where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to go faster.
Yeah.
Because somebody else is better at this part of it than I am.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent. So in terms of just lastly, then the Paralign journey. Obviously we've met and we've been on a journey, and to see where that's going. You mentioned that it's looking to go into Europe and go down that route.
Yeah, I think the Paralign brand is going to expand into Europe, also Canada.
Okay.
So
the 51st state, yeah?
Yeah. Little politics.
Yeah. We'd stay clear.
Yeah. The technology, again, it's a widget for other technologies, other businesses that can, offer efficiency, innovation, and the data and insights that our technology provides. And the ARC platform it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So now do you think you'll be visiting Europe a bit more now?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm at Paralign marketing headquarters right now, right?
Yeah.
So
no, it's been good. Obviously, from our point of view, we've enjoyed being part of that journey and shaping. And from everything from the name, what are we going to call this thing?
That's
to
right.
To sort of like ongoing, getting the communication tightened up and synced, and I'm working with some of the team as well. Like Rayka has been fantastic and stuff. But we enjoyed our time, as did Rob, when we were out in the States filming. It was fun.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Sometimes I got to pinch myself when I walk into the office or I go over to Budapest. It's like, is this really happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a fun journey, for sure. But
so lastly, we always have like a last bit of wisdom for the audience. That is there, what do you think is the biggest quality you need to do the journey that you've done? What do you think is the biggest single thing that you need to just keep working on to get the longevity that you have?
I'd say number one is I'd say this to young people. I'd say be confident. Confidence is it's a necessity for being whatever you're doing. If you're working in corporate America, or I'd say confidence is number one. Tenacity.
Yeah.
Never give up. There's along your journey, whether it's corporate America or it's, developing your own business, there's always outside either influences or just things that happen that you get knocked down. I call them gate arms.
Yeah.
Because I'm in parking, of course. But,
Yeah.
when that gate goes down, some people want to retreat. And I've always been one to figure out, how am I getting around that gate arm? It's broken. It's not working. I'm going to smash through the gate arm.
Yeah.
Right. And having fun. I mean, if you can't have fun and you're not having fun, then, you're not in the right place. Right. That's kind of
That's the journey. No,
yeah.
Great stuff. Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time to come up from London and join us on the train journey to get here.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure you get home.
Yeah.
But really appreciate it, and obviously, we're really enjoying working with you and the team and meeting the team with Paralign, and I'm excited about the future in terms of the other verticals that we could go into.
That's
so
right.
Exciting.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the Purpose People podcast. How you can help us is to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon. That helps us get our message out there to help people go after their dreams, double down on it, and be successful in life on their terms.